Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took today inside the Discord, as well as the plan going into tomorrow. So this is what we looked like today off of open. If we go to the 30-minute chart, market was neutral at the time. So we know this because on the call side, 10's below the 50, and then we flip to the puts. So on the put side, market was neutral. The 50's up here, 10's down here. Since we're below the 50 and not crossed off open, market was neutral. And then we eventually did, this 30-minute chart did cross later in the day, but the market still really didn't flip bearish because this SMA is a little weird. But at one point, 50 was curled, and I guess you could say market was bearish. We're going to have to see, how we open up tomorrow and, see if we do actually flip bearish, because we are going to be using new contracts since Friday the market's closed. So tomorrow we're gonna be picking new contracts, and we're just gonna have to see how we open up. So how you would have played today, I only took one setup and it was a beauty. So if we go to the 0-day charts really quick, if you go to the puts, this is what ended up happening. So this could zoom out a little. This looked a little better. That'd be nice. I don't know why it looks like this. It's because this chart's so big. Man, it's hard to see this, but yeah, okay, right here, perfect. So we played this cross right here. This was a choppy cross, but our entry was perfect, like picture perfect on this pretty much. There was like no drawdown on this whatsoever. I ended up entering right at the 50. 10 went above the 50. I waited for this pullback to the 10, and I entered on this candle right here on this dip down to the 10 and 50. Beautiful entry. Obviously your stop loss is a closure below the 50. We never closed below the 50, so I never stopped out. And the most I was down on this trade, I think, was like almost 20 points, maybe like 15 points I was down at one point. That was the most I was down, and we ended up hitting 50 points on this trade. So once we bought the 50, we ended up getting a quick flash dump, and I was up like 48, 49 points right there, and I missed my auto like TP at 50 points by like 1 or 2 points. So that was unfortunate, so I did have to hold this a little bit longer. And then once we came back down to the 50, we kept holding, and this push lower, I ended up getting filled on my TP. So we hit 50 points right there, and I had an auto TP at 50 because the market's neutral. I'm not trying to stick around, in a neutral market. If I hit 50 points on a trade, I'm all out of it. That's how you kind of want to play the neutral markets, because, since we are neutral, there's no trend, and we're not likely to see that continuation. Sometimes we will get it, and sometimes we won't. But, I'm going to play it safe, take my 50 points on the day, move on to the next day. It's as simple as that. That's all you need when we're neutral. One really good trade. I said this in yesterday's video. One really good trade for the day. That's all you need to look for. And once you get that trade, just pack it up for the day. Even if it's a loss, just pack it up. Look for one good setup throughout the day, and if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Move on to the next day, because we are neutral, and you don't want to be sticking around trying to take a million trades when we are neutral. So that was the only setup I took. That was really the only setup that there was. We got the 0-day cross, and then, that was that. I mean, there's nothing to trade on this side of the chart, because this was from, Powell speaking. We ended up dumping hard, and, the volatility started picking up. But I didn't take this negative cross right here just because, like, when we did look at the Friday contracts, I was looking at this 5-minute chart again, because, if you go to the 30-minute, we did come pretty close to the 50 on the 30. So at that point, it's pretty close. And if we did reject, I mean, we needed this chart to go negative on the 5-minute on the Friday contracts. It's the only time, you go to the 5-minute on these charts is when, we get that rejection off the 50. We pull back to this 50, and then you wait for this chart to go negative in order to play this negative cross right here. That's why I didn't take that, because we were sitting right at that 5-minute 50 on the Fridays, and we came pretty close to that 30-minute 50. So it was pretty much like a rejection off of the 50. It pulled back, and you can see what happened. We ended up slinging right back up and getting this put cross, which I did take, because that's all I was looking for. I was looking for that 0-day cross. We got it. I entered, and we got paid. As simple as that. Going into tomorrow, next week's contracts aren't crossed, I don't think, yet. If we pull them up real quick, I was starting to look at them. It really depends where we open tomorrow of which ones we're gonna get. But if we play it safe, maybe get the 515s. I don't think they crossed yet. Yeah, they haven't crossed yet. It probably will tomorrow if I had to guess. But yeah, if we flip bearish tomorrow, you already know what the game plan is. Focuses on the short side. It's very simple. 30-minute on puts cross with 50 curling up or flat. You go and focus on the short side. So the 0-day chart is going to give you those entries. You look for a 0-day cross on puts, 50 dip on puts after the cross. Those are your two like high confidence trades in a trending market. A day like today, you don't buy the 50 dip. So, you know, if you go back to the 0-day chart and here, you know, once we came down this 50 in the morning, you know, I'm not buying that dip. Why? Because there's no trend in the market and it's not likely to bounce. You know, it's more of a chance it's going to just break through, which eventually it did. You could see we ended up closing below the 50 back in here. We got a small bounce, but, you know, that's not a trade I'm taking. You know, there's a certain criteria of, you know, rules you need to follow when you're trading this type of system. And even though, yeah, it did work out, that's just not part of the plan, not a part of what I'm trading. So what I look for is a reclaim of this 10 SMA, which we never got. So since we never reclaimed the 10, there was no entry to go short again, and we broke below 50, waited for the cross again, and that was the trade we took. So, you know, very simple day. That's all you needed for the day. You don't need to stick around the whole day trying to catch a million trades, especially when we're neutral, because you'll get chopped up to death. So, yeah, that's what we did today. That's the game plan going into tomorrow. Very simple plan. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, join the Discord down below. But that's all I got. I'm out. Peace.